And we're live! Welcome back, everyone. This is Mothers of Real Estate with Becca Shea, Melissa Johnson, Stephanie Betters, and me, Pilia Rusi. And we have invited the amazing, I know if you are following everything with moms of multifamily, if you are in multifamily, women's multifamily mastermind, whatever. It's something like that. If you're in Michelle's group, you know this woman, you love this woman, Michelle Oppelt. Welcome to Mothers of Real Estate.
Thank you so much for having me today. Super excited to be here.
Super excited to have you. So the reason why I wanted you to come on today is, first, before we go into that, because I want to tangent, and you know this, how is everyone doing today? How are you? How are you, Becca?
You just reminded me to breathe there for a second.
I was about to go call.
Been hair on fire since 6 a.m. I thought we were just going to keep doing that.
Let's breathe. Let's all ladies, let's take a moment and take a breath together. You bring back the Lamaze classes because kind of helped. So Becca, how are you today? Before we dive into the awesomeness.
It's been one of the most productive weeks ever. And it's great because last week, and I think it's because last week was a much more chill, relaxed week. My brain got what it needed. And this week it's been productive, but without feeling like I'm constantly behind the 8 ball, just feel like I'm on top of things. So I'm feeling good. And I'm going to an event this weekend. As a student, for the first time in a long time, I'm going to an event where I'm going just to learn, and I'm very excited.
Yes, what event?
Create content just for you?
I know, Thrive Live. It's about building membership and communities, and it's a 3-day event tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and the guy who runs it, Stu, I don't know what his last name is, but you can tell he's built like a cult following, I got into the Facebook group and everyone's like crazy and I'm like, whoa, but very excited.
Awesome. Melissa, how are you doing?
You should come. Melissa, come.
How?
It'll be good for your new adventure. Yeah.
What is it? It's
about live.
Okay. So look at that. Don't worry, ladies. This is not coffee. I don't need any more coffee.
With whiskey?
Huh? Melissa, your turn.
I don't know what's going on all of a sudden. Well, I'm okay. I'm a little, I don't know. I've been feeling a little stressed lately, but I think maybe starting to come through that. I don't know. We kind of have these ups and downs, and I've got this property that's kind of stressing me out that just lives in the back of my mind all the time. Still the same one. It's still there. Yeah. And just some other things, but I'm doing the things I know I'm supposed to do, which is very difficult sometimes. A friend and I just had a conversation about this yesterday. It's like when you get in those ruts, I keep letting the overwhelm me. And so it's I know what I should be doing. I know I should be doing some self-care and, understanding I can only control what I can control and things like that. And so, but just, we were talking about how it's so those things, but it's difficult to actually do them in the moment, so I had all this negative things happen to me and I just kind of let it suck me in, all that negativity just kind of and I had to say, okay, this needs to stop. So I got back on my meditating and stuff like that. So yeah, I think hopefully the worst is behind me.
Melissa, I'm literally on the same exact page as you. I should have probably just called you.
You should have called me.
But I'm feeling the same exact way.
I was going to say, what's this call for?
I know, right? Geez, we should do this. We do this every day.
I know.
I feel the same way. This week has been really stressful for me, and I was on vacation for 3 weeks. Vacation. I was working away, and I was out of office, and got back home on Sunday night and Monday. I was so stressed out on Monday. I was so stressed out and so out of my own control. My head was just I just couldn't relax.
Yep.
that I ended up going for like a big run at like midnight, came home from my run, took a shot of rum. And
I love it when you have those nights where you're like, I'm just going to do all the things.
I don't know. And to what you were saying, that I was like, kind of when I get overwhelmed, I get like angry, like all this anger comes up from underneath, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I was listening to Eminem on my run.
Love it.
The song was "There's a Monster Under My Bed." I'm friends with the monster under my bed, and it made me think about that because you get in this negative spiral, and I just didn't want to do anything that would have been healthy for me. Like I just wanted to shut down. I wanted to, have a drink, lay in my bed, not confront anything. Yeah. And I was like, no, I need to be friends with my monster under my bed. Like because the monster under the bed is you, right? So anyway, it's hard to crawl out though, right?
It is. And see, you're good. You did the run and everything. And like, I just did the bathroom floor cry. That's the first place I go.
We should keep score like every week of how many bathroom floor cries happens.
Okay, I did one today after kindergarten. We had a kindergarten orientation, and I like out of nowhere, I wasn't even expecting the sob, but like I just lost absolute control. I just started crying. Oh man, scared my daughter. Anyway,
I felt better, but I did. There was like a quick little thing I wanted to share with y'all because it was really helpful, and it was to that point. I did a meditation yesterday, and she was talking about a gratitude countdown. So what you do is, she said it's really good if you have a partner or an accountability person or something to do this with, like your spouse maybe, or somebody that's there with you. But the idea is that when you find yourself in this place of negativity, when it's just like it's pulling you under, to have somebody call you out when they see that you're getting angry or anxious or whatever, and say, hey, gratitude countdown. And then you on the spot immediately have to come up with 10 things that you're grateful for. And the other person counts you down 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1, to make you just stop in that moment and really think about what you're grateful for. And that alleviates some of that anxiety and the anger and the stress and everything. So I thought that was really, really cool. And I think I'm going to put that in my toolbox of things to do when I feel like that. And then the other person's supposed to do it also. So whoever's calling you out, then they do their 10, so that you're both kind of feeling that gratitude moment and having that like give and receive kind of action happening. So maybe that could be helpful for each other.
I may have to just call one of you randomly, maybe midnight. I'm sorry. That's usually when it happens.
Gratitude countdown.
Yes.
Becca, tell me now.
You can launch it yourself, right? If you recognize you're in a negative space, just hit one of us up and be like, gratitude countdown, coffee.
And we can do a text just so we don't wake up the house.
Pedicures.
So this is why I have Michelle here. This is why I have Michelle here.
You have to go to real quick before we completely turn it over to Michelle, because I can't wait to hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
What's going on in your world? How are you doing?
Oh, you're asking me. I'm part of this too. I'm still like in this like go mood. So today is Luke's 6th birthday. Super excited about that. I'm running on high energy right now just because it's his 6th birthday, and I'm just like, wow, I have a 6-year-old. He's going to go into 1st grade. We're still deciding whether or not we're actually going to put him into this like hybrid model that they're offering, or if we're going to do complete homeschool, which is not going to be complete homeschool because we're actually going to still follow their program, but just keep them home. So we're trying to decide that. So there's been a layer of things today. It's all the things. So I feel like I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm not like, I get where that is, Melissa. It's like that, again, that pit that we put ourselves in, that we don't know how to climb out. And we're almost like, no, don't give me that rope. I'm going to cut that rope off. I don't want the rope. I just want to sit here and be in my hole. Right now, I feel like I have all these things I have to do. And I'm just like super excited, but it's like, I don't know how I'm going to get all this stuff done. I'm just going to keep in this like happy.
That's where I'm at, Peely. I'm like, yeah, there's so much going on. Woo!
Yes. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. It kind of, sometimes I feel like I have these like ups and downs where I'm just like, yes, I'm going to get this all done. But then if I don't get something done, I'm just like, yeah, drop the ball on that. And I know sometimes you just got to let those balls drop. But if I pick up a ball, if I like start juggling it, I want to keep on juggling. I want to keep it going up. And I hate it when that ball drops. So I'm going to keep in this mode right now. And
How much coffee did you have?
So basically, Michelle, you just walked into both ends of the manic depressive spectrum.
Poor Michelle.
welcome to our world.
Hopefully, you can balance us out.
I understand all of it. Is my audio okay, by the way? These are new earbuds. Can you hear me?
They're fantastic.
Perfect.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, no, I totally get both ends of the spectrum. And I think it's important too sometimes because I'm all about the gratitude meditation. I do the whole miracle morning. That's kind of changed my life. I started that last year. But I think sometimes too, when you get swallowed in that, you need to let yourself process it. I think women, moms like us, we're so like, oh, we got to snap out of this. You know, I can't be in this state. Sometimes you do just need to cry and like put on some sad music and let it out. And you're still thinking about what you're grateful for, but you got to let that emotion kind of go full cycle, right? You know, you're not going to let yourself stay in it forever. So I totally get it. It is a roller coaster, especially add COVID onto everything else. Add our kids being home. We never know. Peely, do you even know like what your schedule? I've heard so many friends in New Jersey saying they don't even know a schedule yet for school. The teachers are like, I don't know if I'm working or not. No, it's crazy. So
they have like
today.
They have something. So Michelle's originally from New Jersey, but you live in Tennessee now. Actually, instead of me like telling all about you, why don't you tell the story and everybody about you, what's your story, and how did you get to real estate and what you currently do that's going to revolutionize what we're about to jump into with schooling.
Getting into all of it. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually from Peely's area. Westfield, New Jersey is where my first company that I founded is based out of. Moved down to Tennessee once I grew that company enough that I could kind of run it from my laptop. So basically it's a children's education company. My background educationally is in bioscience. When I graduated, I thought maybe I'll be a biology teacher, but then I had my first son and I started doing really fun science stuff at home with him. And then I started getting requested by other people. Hey, can you run a class? Can you do some experiments? Can you come do a science show? So then in 2007, I kind of became a one-woman traveling science show, which was super fun, really fun gig. And then it just kept getting requested more and more. So that year I realized this could be a business. You know, I don't have to go be a biology teacher. I can kind of do fun science my own way and make it a business. So fast forward to this year, we took on a business partner in 2010. She's amazing. Her name's Samantha. We grew it to, a few thousand students a year, pretty much B2B. We would get contracted by schools to come do their science and tech and art enrichment programs for them. So I'll never forget it. March 11th, 2020, first phone call comes in. Michelle, they're talking about shutting schools down. And I was like, I knew this was coming. And then 10 minutes later, Michelle, they're shut, one after another, contracts just canceled for the rest of the school year. In about 3 days, we had all 6 months of revenue gone. And then it became summer too. And now it's going into fall. So it was like, okay, all right. And on top of that, I'm getting calls. My kids are coming home. They're not going back to school. So now all of a sudden I'm homeschooling 3 different kids, 3 different grades, high school, middle, and elementary school. And I have a 2-year-old. I have 4 kids. So now it's like your kids are home full time. Your business, I also ran a daycare. Half those kids are gone because half their parents were sent home. Like it was just a mess, right? The world just turned upside down, like for everybody else. So I think that's why Peely wanted me to come on today, because it took a couple months. We did nothing for maybe 6 weeks. We didn't even discuss like, what are we going to do? It was just digesting it. We didn't know how we could go virtual. Everybody's like, well, just go virtual. And it's like, well, we've had this business model for 12 years that focused on in-person classes. And now I've got my kids home and all this craziness in the world. I can't just snap my fingers and go virtual. Like it's a big deal, right? So anyway, we took about 6 weeks to digest what was going on. We were in shock. Luckily, then the government started putting out SBA loans and PPP loans and some forms of help. So we were like, okay, we've got some money to work with to figure out how are we going to switch virtual. So that's where we're at today, is we've made that switch. We are launching a new platform called SmartyCat TV that's coming out next week. And I'll be able to be the face of SmartyCat again with my partner. We're going to do a lot of fun science stuff virtually, but the kids will be able to interact. They'll be able to go onto a website and I'll say, help me do this experiment. And they can click a button and tell me to mix 2 things together to see what happens, whatever. So anyway, we figured it out. It's been a crazy ride. I've had every single emotion you ladies have talked about, and it depends on the minute which one I'm in, but I totally get it. Not a good enough explanation, Peely?
Well, no, before I like dive in, because I have a bunch of questions. Do any of you have questions about it? Okay, so the reason why I wanted to bring you on is you didn't say anything about real estate, because right now that's not your focus. But I actually met Michelle because she went through this mentorship program with a friend of mine. She started this amazing group of multifamily women. Why don't you dive into a little bit about real estate, Michelle, and why that isn't your focus right now, and why that's okay?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's not a focus, but yeah, I mean, keeping the food on the table and the roof over the head and getting some revenue coming back in is definitely had to be number one right now. But I do have a real estate company. Started with bought some land last year and playing around with Airbnb, some single family stuff, and then luckily was introduced to multifamily. And pretty quickly realized that's the direction I want to go in. It scales so much better, and amazing group of people. So last August, it's been almost exactly a year. Are you hearing reverb, or is that just me?
I am.
There's a little.
I am not.
All right.
I just muted.
Can you hear me without the headphones in? Or no?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna not use the headphones, because when you hear your voice coming back to you, it's like my thoughts go out of my head. I can't focus. But anyway, we started a women's group. I realized when diving deep into multifamily, there wasn't a group that was just for women and moms, and tons of groups out there, but I really was looking for one for women. So found two other women with the same frustration, and we started that, and that's how we met you, Peely, and so many other amazing women. So I'm still focused on that, but I've had to really think about what is my role going to be. Because when I started the real estate company last year, I wanted to be all in, hands-on. My other company was built to the point where it was a machine that was running on its own, pretty much. So my focus was on real estate. Let me build this business and let me really be hands-on. Well, that got turned on its head. I have to be immersed in my other business again to figure out how to switch it to a totally different model. So now while I'm still in real estate, I've had to think about, I have to take a more passive role. So what is that going to look like? What are the pros and cons? I can still be in it, but I can't be doing the legwork every day. So just, you adapt, right? You adapt and figure out how you can still get to your goals, even though you've been knocked on a totally different path. So that's where I'm at.
I don't know if you ladies have experienced this, but I've had multiple conversations with different high functioning, in real estate, doing it all women who are having kind of breakdowns. And one of them just called me, and she was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I need to send my children to school because I need to be running this business. I need to be in it. I need to be doing this. And, I feel bad. I don't want to put all the strains on my partner or my partners, but I don't know what to do with my children if they can't go to school. And you know what? I think it comes to the point where we have to give each other permission to, maybe if you can float it for at least for a little while until you figure it out, maybe you do just be at home with your kids, or maybe you do dig in a little deeper and see what else you can do. I mean, we've been all put in this this position because we've all gone through school, regular school. That was daycare for our parents. And we've gotten used to it because we all have children of various ages, and jumping into this new school year without the, what's the word I'm looking for? Stability has been crazy. I mean, what do you ladies feel like? Where are you guys at? And Michelle, how can your program help us deal with that?
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah, well, so my whole philosophy and the reason I didn't want to go down the traditional teacher, and I have to preface this by saying I think teachers are amazing. They are heroes in my mind. What they do all day long is amazing. But for me personally, I have a real passion for exploration and more open-ended critical thinking, right? So our whole mission with SmartyCat Kids is to provide challenges, to provide opportunities for kids, ask a lot of questions, but let them figure it out. We are anti-lecture at all costs. You know, a lot of our classes will just be a bunch of recycled materials on the table. And it's like, we're going to invent something today. What do you guys want to invent? What kind of problem do you want to solve? And how can you create a machine out of these materials that can solve that? You know, whether it's kick a ball or catch a whatever, you know, whatever the kids come up with. So I don't think there's enough time in the school day for teachers to do the hands-on exploration type activities. And so that's the need that I feel like we fill, is that we give kids that time to just explore. Our 3 tag words are explore, experiment, and create, right? So, and at home when you're teaching kids too, I think as parents, we can get really hard on ourselves about, there's this very rigid structure that all of it, you know, we didn't go to school to be teachers for that, or some of us maybe did, but you got all these kids in different grades and you're like, I'm not doing good enough. I'm not, you know, staying on track with the chapters in the book or whatever it might be. But it's like, you know what? Maybe you just make a volcano today and that's okay. Maybe you just sit some recycled materials out and you say, let's build something. You know, you can be a little bit more flexible. I know if they're going through public school, you have to hit certain, you know, you have to do some of the curriculum, but at the same time, there needs to be that break where you can just have fun with it with your kids. So that's one need we want to fill. And also parents need a break, right? You want to be able to put your kid on the tablet every now and then. Let's be honest. If almost every parent I know wants to be able to hand their kid a tablet every now and then and take a quick break. But I don't want my kids just sitting on YouTube, right? They always manage to get somewhere they shouldn't be. So we want to create a platform where you can hand it to your kids and say, here, watch this. And it's all these really fun, exciting videos they want to watch, but it's good for them. It's all wholesome, gets them thinking, gets them, you know, my kids watch it and it'll spark an idea, and all of a sudden they're running around the house looking for materials and they're copying what they're seeing, right? So that's the whole point. Like, we're at home, we're all stuck at home, let's lighten it up, let's have fun, let's let the kids explore. But you as parents don't have to sit there, you know, we've spent, thousands and thousands of hours looking up these activities. Parents don't need to be doing that. We'll do that for you. You just hop on and have fun with us. So that's the whole goal.
Love it.
I like that.
Oh, Keely, I think you're muted.
See, I did that. I always do that. I do that once every episode.
I'm like, I don't see the little mute symbol next to her.
I actually use I mute on my microphone because it's right here. So I have to like find the buttons and press the buttons. I don't even know. So Becca, let's start with you first. How are you dealing with this whole maybe homeschool situation, maybe virtual situation, maybe we, I don't know. I don't even know at this point. How are you dealing with it?
We're figuring it out. Actually, right after this, I'm gonna go work on building desks for my kids. We're taking a bedroom and we're gonna make it the classroom, like the schoolroom, where all the stuff lives, because the end of last school year was like just chaos with books and stuff everywhere, and my kitchen table is taken over. So that's number one. But I would say I'm gonna show I can be pretty black and white in a lot of stuff, and my sister often says that I'm a jerk because of it, but I am tired of hearing my well-to-do peers complain about how demand that the schools need to provide them the solution because they have to work. It's just not the world we live in. It's just not. So I'm getting really fed up with kind of this self-righteous entitlement that I hear going around of it's the school's responsibility to figure this out for me. I have to do this. Because the reality is, I was writing this down, you have options, but nobody wants to hear them. Nobody wants to do the options. So instead of just working with it, they're I'm just gonna put my head in the sand and complain. So you can not work. Like you said, one parent cannot work, and then you have to rework your finances, and that's a sacrifice. And I'm going to get some people who are like, we can't afford to do that, and I totally get that. But a lot of the people I hear complaining, they could make it work. They're choosing not to. Or you can work less, right? And then you still have to rework your finances. Or you can continue to work the same, but then you need to hire help because your kids still need some attention. So again, you have to rework your finances, or you can reorganize your life. And you can be, and I don't think a lot of people have the discipline and the will to do that. Like Peely, you and I have talked about time blocking and stuff, and being very intentional about, this is school time, this is work time. a lot of people are like afraid to push back on their bosses, which I don't get, and say, hey, you know what? Like, Bill was awesome. I said, I need from 8 to 10 every morning. You're not gonna talk to me. I'm not available because I just don't know how else to do this. And when I bring that up to other people, they're like, I can't do that in my work. Like, have you tried? Like, so anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm annoyed with all the complaining. I'm done with the complaining, and I'm like, just figure it out, people. This is the world we live in, so we got to figure it out because there's no other choice.
And I like that black and white version because it's true.
It's not very kind, and I'm
It's
working
not.
with it.
It's not.
Kind.
That's why you have the rest of us, Becca. Well, we kind it up a bit. But no, I mean, if anybody's watching this and is turned off by what Becca says, look for the truth in it. Look for the truth in what she just said. I mean, last week we had Ari on, and she talked about finding financial freedom, finding those things that you can do to take down your finances. I mean, that's what Jason and I did. We live in a pretty affluent neighborhood. We do okay for ourselves, but we went into our bank accounts. We ripped things out that we
You got to take a scalpel to it.
Yeah, we cut all the fat, and so I could not be in the business as much as I was going to be, because I've told you this before. He went business and I went family, and then now finally I'm starting to kind of ease my way back in, but it just, some things just need to be done. So Becca, I get what you're saying. It is black and white and kind of but some of us do need that little.
So
Melissa, what do you think?
That's what I'm trying to figure out is what does it look like here?
Yeah. Miss Melissa?
Oh, sorry. I'm deaf today. I don't know what is my problem. So where am I at? Well, in Texas, we have the option, and where my kids go to school, to do online learning or in person. So I have opted for the online learning just because I want to see kind of how things play out with the in-person stuff first. I'm kind of concerned, my daughter has asthma, so I really don't want her wearing a mask all day. It's hard for her to breathe, so that could be an issue for her. And yeah, so we're doing the first 9 weeks at home, and then we have the option to reevaluate. And then at that time, if I feel it's, safer, or they've got procedures in place, we know a little bit more. I just kind of because we really don't know, so I don't want to just throw them out there. But I know they miss school, they miss their friends. So first 9 weeks at home, then I'm going to reevaluate. What I did do is I talked to some of my daughter's friends' parents also. And we've kind of been talking about maybe, because she has a really tight, small friend group. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are staying home. San Antonio is military, and one of her friends is a military family. So they absolutely can't go to school. They've got really strict restrictions on those kids right now and the families. Mm-hmm. And then some of her other friends, the parents are entrepreneurs too. So they work from home. So we're all working from home, basically, I guess what I'm trying to say. And so we're kind of talking about getting them together so that the kids can do their school together maybe. And it's just a small group of them. It's 4 or 5 girls. That way at least
Love that idea. Yeah,
because they're all in the same grade, and they can have that socialization, because that's what I have been really worried about with my kids, is the not being around other kids, especially my son. He's 8 and he doesn't have a phone, so he can't, my daughter, she's 12, so she's got, a phone. She can call her friends, they FaceTime all day, whatever, play games. But with him, he doesn't have that. He can't call his friends. They don't have phones, they're babies. So he has no interaction other than, talking to his friends playing Fortnite, which is, probably not the greatest thing either. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I, I've set up all the stuff for them. I'm trying to get some kind of normal for that. So I think maybe by getting the kids together, and even with my son, if I can find 1 or 2 parents that maybe want to do something similar. We're still waiting to see, I don't even know how the distance learning is going to work yet. We just had to make a choice, and school starts in a week. I don't know who his teacher is. I don't know like what platform we're going to be using, if we're going to be using Seesaw again or Echo or whatever. So kind of just having to go with the flow right now. But I am getting like I too, like Becca, I set up a area for Weston. So he's got a desk and a computer and a chair and everything now. Since we gave up our office space, I had a lot of extra equipment. So that was kind of nice. Didn't have to buy anything. And same thing for Sophie. So they've got dedicated space now, at least to do their schoolwork and everything. So that's where I'm at. And I'm just kind of working around my work. I'm suck at time blocking. I wish I could be like Becca and Peely and be really good at that. But I can already see kind of how it's going to work. It was what I was doing, at the end of the school year last year was basically me working and then like just stopping, going and help when they need it kind of stuff. Yeah. Just as needed. But like, again, I don't know what the structure is going to be like with them. Before, the teacher had like teacher hours. So it was 1 hour dedicated. It wasn't instructional at all. It was just kind of like check in if you have problems with the assignments. But basically they were just given all these assignments to do every week. And then we just have to sit there and do them. But there was no instruction happening live at all.
Yeah,
so we could do it whenever, it didn't really matter. But now, since if they are definitely doing the online stuff, they have to take attendance, and it's going to be, I think they're trying to make it more structured. So we'll see.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Stephanie.
I muted myself again, Stephanie.
So, oh gosh, this has been really, honestly, I've done my best to not think about reality that school is going to start literally until today. I think that's why I had such a emotional breakdown by bringing my daughter for the drive-by kindergarten orientation. We have 3 kids, and our youngest is starting kindergarten. So it was really very exciting, up until coronavirus. I was like, oh my gosh, we're all going to be in school. Like, I'm going to have more time. I'm going to have less guilt. Well, that's basically the opposite, right? So that's more guilt. I feel really, really fortunate that, for the most part, we work from home and like I can figure it out like with arranging my schedule. But I also feel like this really overwhelmed because I have a lot of like really big projects I'm juggling right now. And how am I going to make this work? I feel like the pressure on working moms is more than ever right now. And someone said, I can't remember who it was. I wish I could give them credit, but they said 2020 is the year of the death of the working mom. And, while I don't think it's quite that dramatic, I think that we have to figure out what to do, right? Like it's going to be the parents who have to readjust and try to find some structure and rearrange finances and work schedules to try to figure out how to make it work. And I'm super grateful for people like you, Michelle, who have put in the hours to try to figure out how we can do this and how to help us. Because to your point, Becca, I don't think we're getting full support from the schools. I don't know how reasonable it is to give someone full virtual support from a public school. Like, what are we asking kids to do? Let's just say that's the ideal scenario that, okay, they're on front of a computer face to face on Zoom with a teacher. Like, what's reasonable for an adult to be on a Zoom call for 8 hours, let alone a child sitting at home? Like, it's just not a reasonable request, right? So no matter what, the teaching hours are going to be less, even in the most therapeutic environment. Like the hours are going to be less. So it's up to us to figure out how to structure it. And it's overwhelming, but I certainly don't blame, educators. I think they're doing the best they can too. And I think they want to see their kids and they want to be safe and all the stuff. So it's overwhelming. I just ordered desks for my house so they could have their own space. I just did that before this call on Amazon because I'm like, crap, this is real. I have to figure something out. Where am I going to put their stuff? But yeah, I have all the emotions. I feel grateful to be able to try to figure it out and not have to be at the hospital full time, which like my boss there, right? Like, are the patients, they're sick. They need somebody there. So I'm grateful that I don't have to worry about that as a primary thing and that we have flexibility and but again, I am also very overwhelmed. I'm trying to figure out how to do this with less tech time and more face-to-face time with me and Zach, my husband. And I don't know that there's a good answer. So that's why I think I keep coming back to this feeling of being like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna wing it, which is very anti-me, right? I like to have a plan, and I feel like I'm really unable to make one.
Stephanie, you know how you said you get angry when you get stressed? I think that's probably why I have a little bit of anger towards people who are like complaining, like, because I'm stressed about it. So,
Yeah.
But to Michelle's point, like, I think my two big concerns are, number one, the hands-on, like just always time. They're not getting any like tactile stimulation.
Yes.
And then to Melissa's point, the socialization. Like those are the two things to me that are, you know, I worry about. My husband just came in. He doesn't worry about these things. So.
Hi, Matt.
It's so true. What are we going to do? We can't just put them in front of a screen all day, regardless of if there's a teacher on the other end. Like, it's just, it blows their brains up. They're not the same. You know, my son has ADHD, and screen time is like the worst for him.
And also, you know what? One of my interesting takeaways from the spring was the little, so I had a first grader, a third grader, and a sixth grader. The first and the third grader were done their schoolwork, their like necessary schoolwork, in 2 hours. So there's this whole idea. I mean, school has kind of evolved as daycare as well, right? So that there's some structure and parents can work. But the reality is that they don't need to be in school 8 hours a day. And I love camping, right? And this has opened up the possibility to me that we can be potentially on the road. If they only have to do schoolwork for 2 or 3 hours a day. And the thing I worry about with the virtual option is that they're going to stretch it out 8 hours. And to Stephanie's point, no one is meant to sit. We as adults do it all the time, but it's terrible.
It's terrible for us even. I mean, I can't handle it, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Michelle, I'm curious because you've been working with schools and stuff. Like, what are your thoughts on that, especially with the different ages, how much time they really need to get educated? Do you know? You might not know.
Well, no, I'm afraid to give my thoughts on this, just it's going to be polarizing, but I homeschooled my kids for 2 years and did the camping on the road thing. We went to national parks. We went to 49 out of the 50 states.
You just became Becca's bestest friend.
I knew we were going to be best friends.
And to be honest, you know, we did homeschool curriculum, obviously, but it was very little book work. They need to know how to write and read and spell, obviously. Math is important, you know. But how much time do you need in front of a book? How much time do you need in lecture time? Almost nothing. How much more are you going to learn by going to Volcano National Park, right? And seeing the different rock formations, or going and seeing bison in person, or, I mean, gosh, I could go on for hours and I won't about the experiences we had, but I had so many people tell me how crazy we were. What's wrong with you? Your kids are going to be weird. They're not getting the socialization. You know, you're not putting in the schoolwork. And like, what are you talking about? Like, we are literally out seeing the world. I would tell them, like, you know, figure out how to make a raft. Like, let's go play in that pond, figure out how to make a raft. And they would take sticks and stuff and figure it out, right? Like, I feel like those experiences will help them so much more than sitting in front of a book. So I definitely don't think you need to be in front of a computer 8 hours, but at the same time, I did opt to put my kids in school because they asked me, you know, when we had a discussion, and they really, really pushed hard for going back to school. And our elementary and middle schools are doing 5 days a week, normal school. They just have to have a mask all day. High school is doing the hybrid thing because there's just too many kids. They can't social distance. But they wanted to be in person, and I get it for the social thing. But if it's coming down to like, how much time do you need in front of a book?
Yeah,
probably way less time than people think. You know, they little spurts of it, and they need to learn how to do that and stay focused. But I'm way more on the side of the exploration type, you know, stuff. So that's just my style.
I love that. And that's one of the things that, one of the issues I have with public school. I mean, my kids go to a great school, don't get me wrong. It's public school. It's a very good school district. But, you know, my daughter, she's in the gifted and talented program. So she gets like that hour where they get to do the GT stuff. So it is a lot of creative thinking and stuff like that. But the other kids, like my son's not in it. I mean, I guess he could be. We weren't back in school, so I couldn't get him tested. But like, what about the other kids? You know, they need creative thinking too, and like that play and and stuff, and not just, here's the curriculum and that's all you're going to do. There's no creativity in that. There's no problem solving skills involved with stuff like that. And I think that's really missing. Do you see that a lot too?
And the kids forget. When you're reading it or you're hearing it, you forget. But when you do it, when you sit there and physically do it, you learn, you retain it so much better. So big proponent for that. But, and that's why I always preface it by saying teachers are amazing. I love teachers. They didn't, but the way the school system's set up and the way, all the way up through college, that's another tangent I won't get on, but I feel like
I'll
it's kind
go
of
there. I'm paying full tuition for my daughter to go to college online right now. And it ticks me off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Full tuition? Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, they still have to keep their staff and maintain all their facilities, even if the people aren't there.
I get that, but still, I mean, they're like
It's not like their overhead went down
yeah.
unless they laid everybody off. So anyway, this has been really interesting. It's so timely. Like, I mean, I know, Stephanie, you guys are starting this week. We start September 8th. And
10th.
I'm excited to be like 6 or 8 weeks down the road from now, honestly. Let's just do, like, I just want to rip this Band-Aid off and figure it out. And I'm tired of trying to figure, because nobody knows what's going to happen.
Right.
And like the if or when or buts, and let's just do it. Let's get it done. Let's do it. Let's jump in. Stephanie.
I was just going to say, I do think it opens up a lot of questions about traditional instruction and how necessary it is. And maybe we've been doing it this way because we've been doing it this way, and that bothers me a lot. My husband and I have been talking about that a lot. Like, why do they go to school for 8 hours if everyone's saying now it can be done in 2? Why are they in school? Why aren't they in school for 2 hours then, and getting the basics that they need, and then having, the life experiences to build upon them, and I think the answer is because there's 2 working parents.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that's the main answer. And I can kind of see it from both perspectives, because we need help, right? Like, life is life too, and money needs to be made. But then again, too, like, what is the best thing for the kids? And I think life experience is the best. I'm a big proponent of travel. We took our kids to Paris, and like, that was their history lesson. Like, let's see everything. And you know what? They remember it. They remember all the crap they saw in the Louvre. We still talk about it. Like, that is the kind of stuff that I think solidifies in their brain, and they learn history that way. Like, they learned all about the French Revolution. My youngest is 5. She still knows. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
All the way up to our oldest. So that's obviously a better experience, but not every family has that opportunity, which is the thing. Like, and I think that's why this kind of probably slowly developed for the education system is not many people are fortunate enough to do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? All the way up to our oldest. So that's obviously there's a delay.
Oh, there was a delay. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening? Sounds going all over the place. We're actually coming up on time soon. So before we let ourselves go and take on this day, Michelle, what are some final words that you can give us and
Sorry about that.
ladies and gentlemen that are out there who are in this position? What's the next steps that we should take? How can you help? All the things.
Yeah, how can we look at your products?
Yeah, I would say in a nutshell, my biggest advice that I tell myself constantly is give yourself grace. Everything that we had imagined of how things should be is gone right now. It's gone, right? We're all just trying, and it changes minute to minute. My kids started school this week, but they could shut down at one case of COVID and they're going to be shut down again. So take it a day at a time. If you're getting frustrated, my go-to is always, let's just go explore something. Let's just make it fun. Don't stress yourself more than, because we have enough stress to deal with as it is, right? So just give yourself grace, whether it be with real estate stuff. I know, like, I'm still doing single family stuff right now. We all got to get by, right? Like, just give yourself grace, be adaptive. SmartyCat TV is if parents are looking for somewhere fun, and we're going to have tons and tons and tons of free content that parents can hop on and join us with. So SmartyCat TV is launching next week. But yeah, give yourself grace.
By the way.
Thank you.
I love it.
Awesome. You're muted again, Peely.
Web address. Me and this mute button. We need to talk more often.
I want to give a shout out to Kelsey. She dropped a comment, said this was some awesome content, and I tried to respond back, and then it started playing the feed. So that was my little technology.
Give yourself grace. That's okay.
You know what? I have one last quick question because something Michelle said, it kind of hit me. But, you know, we're all stressed out. But, like, I had noticed with my daughter that she was getting super stressed out about this online learning stuff. Do you have anything for the kids that might be helpful to help them kind of get past that feeling of stress or overwhelm dealing with learning online?
Well, when it comes to like public school online or like structured school, I wouldn't say we have anything specific to help them with that. It just our platform, you know, if the school says, you know, you have some free time to do whatever. If they give some schools give a little bit of leeway, like make sure you do an art project today, but they don't specifically say is that mine? Anyway, I don't know what's going on. There's like a giant alarm going off in my ears. But like our platform will just be interactive, you know, if teachers in schools can figure out a way to keep the kids doing something, it'll be great. If it's a Zoom call where they're expected to sit and look, they're going to last 3 minutes. So I would say, you know, just try to use those platforms where they can be doing something, where it's made into a game, and hopefully like our school's been pretty good about giving links to different websites and things where it is a game, where they're sitting and playing and being able to be interactive. But I wish I could say we had something that's going to help them with the mental stress. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a good lesson idea.
I'm going to jump in right now because Michelle's being really modest. Try this. Try SmartyCats TV. Try and do something that, like Michelle said, something that the kids can like dive into. And I think my kids, same way, they're so young. But at the same time, I noticed the difference because they weren't seeing their friends. They've been in daycare all their lives, and all of a sudden it's just me and mom, or me and daddy. So give them that opportunity. And like you, Melissa, we're thinking about doing the pod thing so that you can be with trusted family, or not family members, or friends, neighborhood people, and you can just tell each other, okay, I'm going to go visit the grandparents this week. If you're uncomfortable, we will quarantine away from you for a few weeks or a few days, and then we'll jump back into it. But it gives them the chance to like see other kids and to have that socialization. But again, Michelle's being modest. Everyone that's watching this, check out SmartyCat TV right now. After this, go look it up.
It's just next Saturday. So
next Saturday, look it up.
Next Saturday, but next Saturday, look it up. Yeah, SmartyCatTV.com. It'll be fun. It'll be all over my Facebook. If anybody wants to follow me on Facebook, obviously I love meeting other moms, and especially real estate moms and business moms. So there'll be more info coming soon for that.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So Becca, you want to take us out?
Yes, love it. Michelle, you are my new spirit animal, a fellow science lover with kids who loves camping and real estate. I do think we need to be better. Where do you live? Oh, Tennessee. check. It was awesome having you on. Ladies, as always, this is probably the best hour of my week. And next week, we are potentially going to have Nina come on to talk about productivity. But if not Nina, we will have some amazing content next week as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye.
Get that tattoo.